Hey Dave, welcome to the GAC RMHC Golf Classic. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your setup, let's first of all just take a look at your posture. So your spine's nice and straight, not a slight tilt. Your legs come down into maybe a little bit too much of a bent position. Your arms then hang down off your tilted spine, and the golf club works out to the golf ball. So your posture looks pretty decent here. If we're going to work on your golf game with you, I'd revise this just a little bit, and what we would do is we'd go ahead and get you to sort of push your tail out and up a little, then just sort of push your sternum out and forward a little, just to make sure your center, your sternum, and your head are a little bit more per se out over your toes, and you're a little bit more into the golf ball. So ultimately what that's going to do, by getting your tail out and up a little bit, it's going to straighten your legs a little, because right now you're too bent in the legs, and it's actually causing you to sit back a little and sit down, okay? And what we're going to see is we're going to see some elevation change in your golf swing due to this starting position. So if we got the tail out and up, we'd probably get your spine a little bit more angled as such. The legs would have become a little bit straighter just so that they're unlocked. And then from there your hands and arms can hang down as they are, and then the golf club can work out to the ball. And from this perspective, you're going to obviously be in a position where you're going to be a little bit taller in your starting position with respect to this posture. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of those lines. We'll take a look at your alignment also from this perspective. We can see your feet running in this direction. We carry that out towards the fairway. And then obviously our club face is theoretically supposed to run parallel to our feet, and parallel lines have an appearance of converging on camera. So if we get that picture into play, we can see that you're pretty much set up sort of right down the sort of the right edge of the fairway for this particular swing. Okay. One of the things I'm going to make mention of, because we actually took a look at this on the golf course, and that is you already know that your grip is strong. And again, that's not from a pressure standpoint, it's from a positioning standpoint. So your left hand is rotated a little too far over top of the golf club to the right, and your right hand's rotated a little too far underneath the golf club to the right. So both hands are rotating a little too aggressively to the right, making the grip a little strong. And obviously through the golf swing, what that's going to do is it's possibly going to close your club face. Because what's happening is you're placing your hands on the golf club without the radial bones of your forearms in their natural position. And if you can understand this, when we swing the golf club, the club being a mass itself, what's going to happen is that mass is going to have an influence on the forearms. So the radial bones are going to move into their natural position. So if we don't put our hands on the golf club with our forearms in their natural state, and you go ahead and let those natural forces take over, it's either going to cause the club face to close or open based on having a strong or weak grip. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's put you back here in your dress position again. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. Now we got some color coded lines here up on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing playing. And again, going back to that posture, see how Jordan, his legs are just unlocked, and you're obviously in a little bit more of a bending sitting position. So that's what I was talking about. Stand a little bit taller. And actually what I'm going to do for you is I am going to go ahead and actually put a box just around your head here. And we want to pay attention more to sort of the forehead and the chin. Relative to elevation change or movement back and forward based on the fact that we haven't really started in the perfect posture. So as it pertains to the golf swing, what are the main things that happen from this vantage point? Well, we want to draw the golf club back by turning the shoulders, drawing the arms and hands back as well as the club, and we want to see the club coming back along the red line on plane. Once we get the golf club back into this zone here, we now need to start incorporating some wrist hinge into play, where we're going to transition the club head from being below the hands to now being above. At this point in time, we want to work the golf club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we're allowed to have the left arm either on the yellow line, anywhere in between this blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue. And we can see with Jordan that he sets his left arm of the golf club on the blue line. We also have full shoulder rotation. We've done this about a very stable right leg, and we have also maintained the posture we achieved at address. Let's go ahead and watch you initiate your takeaway here. So your hands come back very, very nicely. Shoulders are turning, so it looks great. Club's coming back on a perfect swing plane at this point. Good rotation, get some good wrist hinge into play. And then from here, what we're going to see is we're going to start to see this elevation change where we sort of stand up out of the shot a little. So you see your head raise up out of the box, okay? You get your arms into a pretty decent position at the top. Left arm's in pretty good position. You're maintaining a good geometric relationship with your arms to your core. Club stays in pretty good position. You've rotated. You're stable right side. It's just that you have stood up outside of where you started. So now you're taller. So if you're going to move to here, to the top of your swing, why not start there, right? So that's all I'm saying. At address, let's get you in a right position, a little bit taller, not so bent in the knees, stand a little taller, and then rotate, do everything you're doing, and you know what? You'll reduce that elevation change, okay? At this point in time, let's go ahead and take a look at the transition back into the golf ball. Simply want to move our weight from our right foot to our left, fire the knees and the hips to the target, unwind the core and fire the hands. And in doing so, we have to make sure that we're bringing that golf club from wherever it is in that blue-yellow V zone, and we're bringing this golf club back down on top of red. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club has returned right back to being on plane, and ultimately this is what's going to allow him to hit a straight golf shot in accordance to his alignment. Aside from the fact that because that golf club has returned back to plane, what we want to see is we want to see that the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club is what I refer to as a backwards check mark. And that simply means that he's retaining angle coming into the hitting zone, and this is what's going to also allow him to create a lot of power in the golf swing. Okay? With your transition back into the ball, let's go ahead and see what you do here. So, good movement of your feet from right to left. Hands are dropping pretty decent. Retaining the angle, so I mean at this point in time, let's go one more frame, see if we can still, no, okay. So basically in this frame here, I mean we can basically see that between the lead forearm and the golf club, you have your backwards check mark, so obviously creating power in your golf swing isn't going to be an issue. The only problem here is that the golf club isn't returning close enough to plane at this stage of the golf swing. The other thing we see is that the club shaft is coming in too steep. So right now at this point in time, the club shaft's coming into the ball around 51 degrees, whereas we got Jordan Spieth coming into the ball around 32 degrees. So club is definitely coming into the ball too steep, and it could cause the club head obviously to end up attacking the ball a little bit from outside to inside. So let's go ahead and continue to track this club coming into the golf ball. Let's go to the next frame. Okay, so right here, this is great. You're really fighting to keep the club head behind your hands, obviously, because again, you know that's where power comes from. But again, the club has not returned back to plane. At this stage right now, that club has to be back on the red line. So you are going to be coming at the ball just ever so softly from out to in, as in comparison to what we see with Jordan Spieth. Again, that golf club has returned back to plane, and then all the way back into the golf ball, that golf club very simply stays on this red line coming into the ball. And like I said, this is ultimately what allows us to hit a straight golf shot in accordance to our alignment. Lastly, assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. So the three things we need to be consistent are, and it's pretty simple, you have to aim well. So the feet have to run parallel left of the target line. The club has to return back onto plane if we want to hit the ball straight based off that alignment. And then if we want it all come together, we have to have a good grip in order for that club face to square up. Okay? So good alignment, good descending plane, good grip, and you know what? We can be very consistent for sure. So as we keep coming to the ball for you here, let's go to the next frame. So we can see the club there. So if we just sort of connect the dots, we can get a really good visual here as to the slight steepness of the swing without the golf club having ever returned back to plane. Okay? So you're going to be attacking the ball a little bit from outside to inside with your strong grip. So obviously this can create a lot of pull hooks if you release the club. Obviously in Jordan's case, because he's attacking the ball from the inside, the only miss we have is a block if the club face doesn't square up. We can't hit the golf ball left in this swing unless we just absolutely get the club face in a really, really closed position. So here we are expanding out to the ball. Club face squares up. Club moves through on a nice natural subtle arc. He's going to hit the ball relatively straight in accordance to his alignment. Your club is stuck a little bit outside the ball, now dropping down and across. And actually, ironically, as you move through the golf ball, what you actually do is now you try and push the club head down the line. So instead of letting the club move what we thought would be a little bit more to here, we can definitely see that the club was moving from here to here, and then you're trying to push it down the line. But at the end of the day, this golf club is attacking the ball a little bit from the outside. If we happen to square the club face up to that path, then what ends up happening is we have to pull the golf ball a little bit to the left. In your case, if you get the club face closed relative to this same path, because of that strong grip, what ends up happening is we impart a little too much right to left spin on the ball, and we end up hitting a bit of a pull draw to a pull hook. If we happen to leave, if we time it properly, what ends up happening is we just sort of hit this. Again, we're aiming a little too far right. We noticed that we were sort of set up right here on the sort of the edge of the fairway. Obviously, we've got the center of the fairway a little bit more over here, so we're set up a little closed. And obviously, this slight out-in path is a subtle compensation to obviously try and hopefully pull that golf ball back on line to the orange flag and then just have it stay there. Now, again, with that, it could produce a subtle pull draw or a subtle pull fade. Neither one of those hurting you too much. If you happen to leave the club face too open, then we end up sort of blocking the ball in this direction a little bit. And then obviously, in order to do that, club face was a little too open. Now we're going to be imparting a little bit too much left to right spin, and then we can get a little bit of a block fade. So the end result of your golf shot is dictated based on the timing of the club face. Because the club is moving at the ball a little from out to in, over release the club falls yellow, under release the club falls blue. And if we time it properly, it'll follow orange and go to the orange flag. And that'll be your compensation where you're coming a little over the top, trying to pull the ball back online. And at that point in time, you really have to manipulate with the club face, keeping it open and not definitely not releasing it. Okay, which most people with strong grips do. They try and create this hang-on move through impact. Anyways, as you carry yourself through, to a really good finish here. You got great footwork. Right heel comes off the ground, up on the toe. I mean, the finish is superb. So overall, obviously, great athleticism. Hands come back, you fire through. Your core's working well. Good coil, good uncoil. Great footwork, allowing you to get to a finish. We just, in quick little summary, we're aimed just a hair right. We have a little bit of a strong grip. We bring the golf club back. Unfortunately, our posture's starting a little bit in a position where we're a little too bent, and therefore we're a little too low. Let's stand up a little taller in your address position with respect to your posture. Backswing looks really, really good. Unfortunately, the downswing is a little bit over the top and a little steep, and we got to learn how to bring that club into the ball a little bit more from on plane so that we can obviously hit the ball straighter in accordance to our alignment. And then a little fine-tuning with that grip obviously wouldn't hurt in association with those two things. And you could obviously get to a point where you can hit that ball straighter on a lot more consistent basis and not have to compensate. Okay? Anyways, hope you had a great day. It was great seeing you again, and hope you get a little bit more time here in the fall to play a little bit more golf. Okay? Take care.